Have you ever come across a story that it seems to defy all the odds? You know, where love manages to build its own world even when everything outside says it's impossible?
Mm.
Well, today, we're taking a deep dive into exactly that kind of story. It comes from this really extraordinary organization called TATANKA.
It's quite a powerful piece they've put together.
It really is. And for this deep dive, our sources are pretty unique, too. We've been digging into excerpts from this multimedia album. It's a whole concept called Untouchable, A Love Beyond Measure, AI Gen.
Right. The AI Gen part is interesting, too. We'll get into that.
Definitely. And alongside that, we've got some really comprehensive articles that lay out the history and, the ongoing reality for India's Dalit community.
Yeah, so our mission today, really, is to explore how this whole artistic creation works. It's like, it's a radical act. Remembrance, defiance.
Centered on a fictional love story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it uses that story, plus myth and music, to kind of reframe these deep historical injustices. We'll be unpacking that intersection, historical oppression and the enduring human spirit.
So for you listening, this isn't just about an album review. Think of it more as a cultural offering. It speaks volumes about resilience, about forbidden love, and reclaiming who you are.
A lot to unpack there.
Definitely. Okay, so let's get into the heart of it. Untouchable. A Love Beyond Measure. What is it exactly?
Well, at its base, it's a 12-track album, multimedia concept.
Right, but the creation process, that's where it gets really innovative, isn't it? It's this blend of human input with AI generation tools.
Yeah, tools like ChatGPT, Meta.ai for maybe lyrics or concepts, Refusion, Suno for music generation, Kits.ai, Moises for audio processing, even Audacity and Ubuntu listed. It's a whole suite.
So it's not your typical band in a studio, it's a new kind of digital art, really.
Absolutely. A collaboration, you could say, between human direction and AI capabilities.
And the story it tells. Who are the main characters?
So the album focuses on two fictional men in 1900 India. They're queer, they're marginalized.
Okay.
One's described as a dark-skinned Tamil leather worker. The other, a half-African 𝗧𝗔𝗓𝗏 potter.
𝗧𝗔. Right, the community in India with African ancestry.
Exactly. So you've immediately got these layers of marginalization, right? Caste, sexuality, race. It's all there.
A triple burden, essentially.
Precisely. And their forbidden love story, that becomes the central metaphor. It's powerful.
How so?
Well, the way the material describes it, their intimacy becomes its own a private universe built from exile.
Wow.
Yeah. So by loving each other, they inherently challenge the whole system, right? Both the Brahmanical patriarchy, that dominant caste hierarchy, and the colonial structures of the time, they just transcend the rules that exclude them.
They create their own space.
It's an act of self-creation, defiance through love.
And that connects back to the album's title, Untouchable, and its core purpose, right? It's deliberately reframing that word.
Absolutely. Taking it from something meant to shame, to isolate.
And turning it into something holy, divine even.
Exactly that. It's this artistic move towards radical inclusion. Forging this deep connection precisely because of the exclusion they face.
That's a powerful concept.
To really feel the weight of that, though, you need to understand the world the album paints. This painful reality, as the sources call it.
1900 India?
Yeah, and specifically the collision of caste-based violence and homophobia. It was brutal. The sources describe this period as possibly the apex of the Untouchable's marginalization.
So the album isn't shying away from that harshness.
Not at all. It grounds the love story in that reality.
There's this quote you mentioned from a queer Dalit activist in Delhi that really hit home for me.
Which one was that?
For a Dalit queer person, love is twice as risky. The violence we face isn't just about gender, it's about protecting caste hierarchies, about reminding us of where we belong.
Yeah, that captures it perfectly, doesn't it? The intersectionality of the oppression, it's not just one thing, it's layered.
And the project connects this past to now, right? It's not just looking back.
Yeah. No, definitely not. It's described as a mirror to modern injustice. It's making space, symbolically at least, for people still fighting those same battles today. For the right to love openly, without fear.
It feels very relevant.
It is. The struggle for dignity, for love.
Yeah.
It's ongoing.
And it also pushes back against that idea, that misconception, that queerness in India is some kind of Western import.
Oh, absolutely. The album does that beautifully through its soundscape. You hear traditional Indian instruments, folk melodies, these spiritually rooted themes.
It feels very grounded in Indian culture.
Exactly. It's a reminder that queer love has always been there. Often hidden, yes. Often punished, certainly. but never wiped out.
Yeah.
The album is reclaiming that history.
So let's talk about how it portrays that love. You mentioned transforming ordinary acts.
Yeah, into sacred rituals. It's quite poetic.
Like what? Give us some examples.
Okay, so you have tracks like The Leatherworker's Prayer, where something as mundane, as maybe even stigmatized as sweeping streets becomes a form of prayer.
Elevating the everyday.
Precisely. Or The Sacred Clay, where molding clay, the potter's work, becomes this moment of touch without shame, connecting through craft.
Touch without shame. Given the context of untouchability, that's huge.
It is. And then there's Monsoon in Their Glen, where a simple rainstorm becomes like a baptism, a cleansing.
Finding the sacred and the mundane in their connection.
And there are moments of profound reverence, like in the track Temple of No Gods. The description is striking. The lovers consecrate each other without clergy, idol, or fire.
So they become each other's holy space.
Essentially, yes. When society denies you access to temples, denies you dignity, you create your own sacredness. Their love is the temple. It's an act of profound self-worth.
Wow. And then there's that line from To Be Touched. They say we're ghosts, but I feel you solid as stone. That line just, it stays with you.
It does, doesn't it? It cuts right through the dehumanizing label. How can someone be untouchable when their presence, their touch, is felt so profoundly, so solidly?
It forces you to question the whole basis of that exclusion. Why punish love that feels so real, so pure?
It makes their connection divine, in a way. Untouchable in a whole different sense.
But the album doesn't romanticize it entirely, right? It shows the danger, the cost.
No, it doesn't shy away.
Yeah.
There's the track Broken Bangles, Bitter Milk, which apparently depicts one of the lovers being discovered and beaten.
Yeah.
It acknowledges the very real violence that often followed such discoveries.
So it shows the pain alongside the beauty.
Yes. But the narrative arc doesn't end in tragedy. It follows them through exile that's in the Salt Road. Then there's this sense of ritual immersion, rebirth in The Ocean Doesn't Know Caste. The idea that water, nature, doesn't recognize these human-made divisions.
A powerful image. Cleansing, rebirth.
And finally, it moves towards transcendence in the track, Untouchable, in the Stars, suggesting their love endures beyond the physical, beyond the societal constraints.
It's quite a journey packed into 12 tracks.
It really is. It feels epic in scope.
So it's more than just telling a story. You said earlier it's like myth-making.
Exactly. That's a key interpretation from the source material. It's described as myth-making, an intentional rewriting of what and who is considered worthy of story, song, and sanctity.
Rewriting the narrative.
Precisely. Taking shame and deliberately transforming it into reverence. Building a mythology for those who were denied a place in the dominant ones.
And the structure of the album seems to support that, doesn't it? Like chapters in a story.
Yes, the sources mention that. Each track like a chapter or a stanza in a long poem. It echoes oral storytelling traditions.
Making the characters almost legendary figures.
Both heroes and gods, as one description puts it. Ordinary men whose love makes them divine in the context of their own story.
And the music itself plays a role in this rewriting.
Absolutely. The fusion of sounds is crucial. You get ambient textures alongside folk instruments, Indian classical elements meeting African rhythms, reflecting the characters' mixed heritage and experiences.
Creating something new musically?
Yeah, it creates what the analysis calls a third space, a soundscape that belongs to no caste, no gender, no religion. It's like a sonic utopia born out of their shared exile, an auditory home.
That's fascinating. And this idea connects to the broader work of TATANKA, right? You mentioned 𝗧𝗔𝗧𝗔𝗡𝗏's story.
Yes, perfectly. From another piece associated with TATANKA, When the Sky Sang Back. It tells the story of 𝗧𝗔𝗧𝗏.
Who is called, what were the terms? Darky, leather boy.
Yeah, horrible slurs used against him because he was a Dalit leather worker in India. And he made music in secret, using just a cracked tin pot and a wooden spoon.
Wow.
And TATANKA discovers this secret music. It's a direct parallel to finding beauty in voice, where society tries to silence it.
So what happens to 𝗧𝗔𝗧𝗏?
He gets invited to join TATANKA's Orchestra Americana.
Which is described as
a collective of the misheard, the displaced, the unwanted. Think about that lineup. A Honduran trans harpist, a Lakota jazz cellist, a Kurdish vocalist, and 𝗧𝗔𝗧𝗏.
That's incredible diversity.
But more than diversity, it's about centering those voices. And a small detail, but so important. TATANKA spelled his name correctly, 𝗧𝗔𝗧𝗏. Not the dismissive Sujan or just boy he might have been called elsewhere.
That recognition matters.
Hugely. It's about dignity.
And his journey continues within the orchestra.
Yes. He learns to play this unique instrument, a bowed string made from goat bone and recycled copper. Imagine that. And he's told, then we will make a new temple with your sound at the center.
A new temple. echoing the album's theme.
Exactly. And his solo piece is called Ashes of the First Fire. Again, that imagery of transformation, something new rising from the remnants of the old.
So what's the main takeaway from 𝗧𝗔𝗓𝗏's story and TATANKA's approach?
It's what the sources call TATANKA's radical act of placing their voices unapologetically at the center. It's not just ticking diversity boxes. It's about finding the divinity through difference.
Divinity through difference. I like that.
And 𝗧𝗔𝗓𝗏's quote is the perfect close to that thought. The sky sang back. Now it's your turn. It's an invitation, a call to find and amplify those marginalized voices.
It really brings the themes of the Untouchable album into a broader context of action and inclusion.
Definitely.
Okay, we've talked a lot about the album, its themes, its artistry, but to really get the full picture, we need to dig into the historical context it's wrestling with, the history of the Dalit community.
Yes, absolutely crucial. To understand why Untouchable is so significant, you have to understand the system it's pushing against. The caste system in India.
It's ancient and complex.
Deeply rooted. And historically, the group often referred to as untouchables were classified as avarna. Meaning literally outside the varna system, outside the four main classes. Brahmins, priests, scholars, kshatriyas, warriors, rulers, vaishyas, merchants, landowners, and shudras, laborers, service providers. They were considered outside and below this structure entirely.
And this wasn't just a category, it dictated their lives, right?
Yeah.
The kinds of work they did.
Absolutely. They were relegated to tasks considered ritually polluting. Things like cleaning latrines, handling dead animals, tanning leather, like one of the album's protagonists sweeping streets.
And that led to extreme social segregation.
Extreme. Segregated housing areas, being denied access to communal wells, temples, sometimes even schools, and brutal violence if they were perceived to have crossed caste boundaries.
I remember reading that even their shadow was considered polluting to upper castes.
That's how pervasive the idea of ritual impurity became. It's a system designed for radical exclusion, which makes the album's theme of radical inclusion even more potent.
And the terminology evolved, didn't it? From untouchables to Dalits.
Yes. Untouchables is now widely seen as offensive. The community increasingly adopted the term Dalit, starting around the mid-20th century. It means broken or oppressed in Sanskrit, but was reclaimed as a term of self-identification, emphasizing shared experience and resistance.
Like the album reclaiming the word untouchable itself.
Exactly that same spirit of reclaiming language and narrative.
And a hugely important figure in this history is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar.
Immense, a towering figure. Himself a Dalit, he became a brilliant scholar, lawyer, social reformer.
And the main architect of India's constitution.
Indeed. And crucially, within that constitution, he enshrined Article 17, which formally abolished untouchability in 1950. He also championed affirmative action policies, known as reservations, for scheduled castes, the official term for Dalits, and scheduled tribes.
He also made a significant personal choice regarding religion.
Right. Yes. Famously, he found Hinduism's inherent caste hierarchy incompatible with equality and dignity. So in 1956, shortly before his death, he converted to Buddhism, along with hundreds of thousands of his followers seeking spiritual and social liberation outside the caste system.
So legally abolished in 1950, but the reality on the ground.
That's the difficult part. Despite the laws, the social realities persist. Caste-based discrimination and violence against Dalits are still major issues in India today.
Things like manual scavenging. I read that's banned, but still happens.
It does, unfortunately. It's a dangerous and degrading practice predominantly forced upon Dalit communities, particularly women. Economic exclusion, barriers to education and employment. These challenges are ongoing. The fight is far from over.
And this isn't just confined to India, is it? Caste discrimination travels.
It does. It's a significant issue in other South Asian countries, Nepal, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and importantly for many listeners perhaps, it exists within the South Asian diaspora.
So in places like the US, the UK, Canada?
Yes. There have been reports and studies documenting caste bias in universities, tech firms, temples, and even within marriage practices among the diaspora.
The Cisco case in California brought some attention to this, didn't it?
It did. And you see universities like Harvard and Brandeis implementing policies specifically addressing caste discrimination. It shows how these deep-rooted social hierarchies can cross borders and persist in new contexts.
It's a global issue then.
It really is. But alongside the struggles, there's also a powerful rise in Dalit cultural expression, literature, music, art, like the album we discussed. Dalit feminism is a strong voice, and 𝗵𝗕 Buddhism continues to grow.
So what's the focus now? What's the future look like for Dalit liberation movements?
The focus seems to be very much on dignity, self-determination, and structural transformation, pushing for better education, political representation, economic opportunities, and building solidarity with other marginalized groups globally. The ultimate goal for many is complete caste abolition.
Dismantling the system entirely.
Yes. Moving beyond just legal changes to fundamentally changing social structures and attitudes. It's a long-term vision, but projects like Untouchable play a part in shifting perspectives and asserting dignity.
Which brings us back to where we started. This deep dive looking at Untouchable, a love beyond measure and the history it engages with. It really makes you think about the power of art, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The power of stories, of music, to challenge narratives, to reshape how we understand history, identity, what's considered worthy.
It's a reminder that culture isn't just entertainment. It can be a profound act of defiance, of healing, of rewriting who gets to be sacred.
Well said.
So, as we wrap up, maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to mull over.
Yeah, perhaps think about this. If the world labels something or someone untouchable, what does that label really reveal? Maybe it says more about the world's limitations, its own inability to grasp the divine in unexpected places.
That's a powerful thought.
And building on that, what new temples of understanding, maybe in your own life, your own perspectives, could you build? How can you consciously make space to honor the people, the stories, the connections that are too often ignored or denied?